Let's talk about how I hunt for hard-to-find manga while trying to stay within a budget. Stay tuned. So a few months ago, I made a video that got a little bit of traction. A lot of people watched and liked it, where I tried to give a ton of different just advice for people who are starting to collect manga or comics. And in that video, I did have a section where I talked about different ways that I like to try and find harder to find manga, stuff that's not just available at primary retailers and stuff like that. And I also talked about keeping a budget. I talked about, how I like to budget for what I'm buying. And I thought that it'd be a really good idea for me to kind of make an expansion on those specific topics from that video. So I also mentioned in my previous haul video a week or two ago that I have been collecting every manga in Viz Media's Shonen Jump line. And I thought it would be a good idea to talk about some of the experience I had recently in trying to track some of these series down. So I picked 3 different series that had different results. Like I had to go to different types of places to find these books. And one of them I fell right under budget. One of them I fell completely and utterly under budget, and then the other one I actually went a little bit above budget. So we're going to talk about basically how I found these books, where I shopped, where I looked, how long it took me, how much I spent. I'll be giving all of that information. We're going to be talking about 3 series: Tama, Dragon Drive, and Strawberry 100%. Also, if you like the hoodie that I'm wearing, this is from Minimaru Clothing. These hoodies, I have several from them. This one with Guts, I've got a JoJo hoodie, I've got a couple of One Piece hoodies. They are extremely comfortable. I highly recommend checking them out if you like this, the way that this looks. This has also the, I don't know if you could see it, I guess I'll find out in editing if that worked, but it's got the mark on the back as well. Anyway, so let's get started talking about Tama. So the first thing I do before starting to collect anything is I set my budget. And what I do for my budget is cover price for the entire series. So Tama in the US was discontinued after 23 volumes. 23 volumes at $10 per volume, that's $230. Now I don't incorporate taxes because obviously that's going to happen, and I don't incorporate shipping because shipping prices are A, going to vary, and then B, if I buy several volumes in a lot, then shipping, would be more expensive. It just doesn't make sense to keep track of that the same way. But as far as the item itself, cover price or less, so $230 total that I have budgeted for this lot of books. Now, if I'm able to find things for less than cover price, then that means the average price that I can spend per volume increases. And I'll show you what that means as we go forward looking at these books. Now, as well, I want to mention that a lot of these were published when the price per volume of Shonen Jump and Shonen Jump Advanced Manga were $7.99 or $7.95 per volume, but I've adjusted for inflation because if they were printed now, they would be $10 each, so we're just going with $10 on each of these. Anyway, so the first thing that I do is I check what I call my primary retailers. And really there are 2 that I initially like to check because they're 2 retailers that sell new books for less than cover price. The first one being Right Stuff Anime, and the second one being InStockTrades.com. Now, InStock Trades used to have a large selection of manga, but after the whole manga craze started at the beginning of 2020, they really ran out of, they sold off all the old stuff that they had, but you used to be able to find some pretty rare and oftentimes out of print books over there, and it was pretty helpful. However, there was nothing that they had that I needed. They had no volumes of Tama, and honestly, I'm just going to tell you there was no volumes of Dragon Drive and Strawberry 100% either. So for the rest of this video, we're not looking over there. But Right Stuff had 11 volumes out of the 23. They had 11 volumes out of 23, and I have not just do they have discounted prices, but I have the membership over there that you pay like once a year. It's like $18, and you get a discount on every item. So I bought the 11 volumes that were available all at Right Stuff, and in total, that came out to $74.03. So I'm gonna go through the ones that they had: Volume 5, Volume 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They didn't have 16, but they had 17, 19, and then 22, and the final volume available in English, 23. So that's 11 volumes out of the 23. I've already got now almost half of the series in the bag, and I spent $74.03, which means that I came in significantly under that cover price that I was trying to hit. Now, my budget of $230 minus that amount comes out to a remaining $155.97, which means that on average, I have $12.99 that I could spend now per volume. So whereas before I was looking at $10 per volume, because I found all 11 of these for less than cover price, that increased the average amount that I could spend. So that happened, this is all on August 10th, by the way. And after I went from Right Stuf and I made that purchase, I moved over to the other primary sellers that sell things for cover price rather than under cover price. And the two that I generally look at are Books A Million and Barnes & Noble. And now neither of them had anything, and neither of them will have anything for the rest of this video either, so there's no point in me mentioning again, but I did go and check there, and that's important. Every time I'm looking for something, I always start by checking basically those 4 stores. Right Stuf and In Stock Trades to see if there's anywhere I can buy these things new for undercover price, and then after that I go to Barnes & Noble and Books A Million to see if I can find the books new for cover price. Now after this, there's 12 more volumes that I need to find. My next choices go to eBay. Now eBay is my first choice for basically third-party sellers and stuff, because not only can I find volumes that are used, but I can find lots with multiple volumes in there, which will usually be cheaper than buying them individually. So I went on eBay and basically just searched Tama 1, 2, and then every single volume that I did not find at Right Stuf to see what they had, and I took note. I put a lot of things in my watch list, which is important. Put things in your watch list, and I'll explain why in a second. But I put a lot of things in my watch list, and I took note of which volumes were not able to be found on eBay for less than cover price. So after putting some stuff in my watch list, I received an offer from the seller, who was selling a lot of both volumes 1 and 2 of Tama. And they had it listed for $25, and I think that we did a little bit of negotiating, but they dropped the price down to $21 for me. So I got each of these volumes for $10.50. So on the same day, I also ordered, because I had a little bit more money, I just had a little more money in my PayPal account left, so I got one more volume. I got volume 7, and this one came in at $10, so that was at that cover price that I was looking for. So after these 3 volumes that I ordered off of eBay, that brought my remaining budget down to $124.97, and that makes it $13.88 left per volume that I could spend for the remaining 9 volumes that are left. So now I took note of what was available on eBay and what was available on Amazon, and I basically just put a bunch of stuff in my watch list so that once I did have the extra cash, I could return to this collection and buy these other volumes. So on 8/23, I went over to Amazon and I purchased volumes 18, volume 3, and volume 9. 18 came in at $7.97, volume 3 came in at $5, and volume 9 came in at a whopping $3.99. So I got some really good deals on these next 3 volumes, and this brought my budget down to having $108.01, or 18 volumes, or $18 per volume, available for the remaining 6 volumes. So about a week later, I go back to eBay on the 1st, and basically what I do from this point is I've bought all the easy to find books. The remaining 6 books are all the hard to find ones. They're the ones that I can't find for less than cover price. But basically what I do at this point is every day I check both eBay and Amazon. And there are other sources as well. A lot of people use stuff like Mercari, or you can check like Facebook Marketplace. But for me, these are the 2 that I use, and I check every single day. It's like I get up in the morning, and while I'm getting ready for my day, I look at eBay, check for every volume I need. I look at Amazon, check for every volume that I need. And on the 1st of September on eBay, there was a lot where someone had volumes 3 through 6 and 10 through 14. Now it was a lot of 9 volumes, and I only needed 2 of these volumes, but they were selling all 9 of these volumes for $50. And I thought to myself, I think that'll be an easy thing that I can flip after I get those volumes. I don't care about, how much I make off of it, but I can sell those remaining 7 volumes. And so that's exactly what I did. I bought this lot, and the 2 volumes I needed were volumes 4 and 6. And these were all in really good condition, so I listed them pretty much immediately thereafter on eBay, and the lot sold for $28. So in total, while I spent $50, initially, I got 28 bucks back, and I only spent $22, so $11 each on 2 volumes that otherwise were going for a lot more on eBay and Amazon. So this brought my budget down to $86 remaining, or $21.50 that I can spend per remaining volume of the last 4 books. So I continue as I was. Like I had mentioned, I look every single day to see if prices fluctuate, if I find anything good, and there was nothing popping up. And so at this point, at some point here, I'm like, all right, well, I have, you know, $20+ per volume that I can spend on average. At this point, I have to start deciding, you know, do I want to go over cover price? Do I want to start buying things that are a little more expensive? Because when, you know, you have to decide at some point, like, is it going to be possible for me to find this for less than cover price? And on the 18th, I decided to go ahead, and on Amazon, I ordered 2 more volumes. I ordered volumes 8 and 20. And these were over cover price. I'm not terribly proud of that, but they stayed within my budget. They were just a little bit more than I wanted to spend per volume. Volume 8 came in at $25.10, with volume 20 coming in at $30. So these were more expensive, but I'd been doing really well with all of the previous volumes that I had bought. And I didn't feel too bad about, you know, going a little bit over on these. Well, a lot over, like 3 times cover price, 2.5 times cover price. But I eliminated these from the set, I eliminated these from the list of what I needed, and I still had a remaining budget of $30.91, or $15.45 per volume. Now, this was gonna be a little bit hard, because the last 2 volumes, volumes 16 and 21, are definitely harder to find. And if I'm trying to stay within that budget, I'm gonna have to be really lucky. Now, on 10/3, I was doing my regular patrols of eBay and Amazon, and there was a lot available on eBay. Similar to the previous time, except this time it was only 6 volumes, but it had volumes 11 through 16, and again, it was being sold for 50 bucks. I went ahead and bought it, and I thought, you know, I'll take the chance on trying to resell the books, but I bought it because I really needed that volume 16. So I put the rest of the volumes, the other 5, up on eBay, and this time I wasn't as successful, but it was only 5 volumes as compared to before I was selling 7, and I made $25. So that means that I still went over the cover price to get this one. I wound up spending a net of $25 to get volume 16, but I did get that 25 back. So in my remaining budget was $5.91. So that leaves us with 1 more volume, volume 21. And only $5 and some change left in my budget for that volume. And here's the thing, I was actually kind of screwed out of this one twice during this entire process. So the first time, actually back on the 23rd of August, when I purchased volumes 18, 3, and 9, I had also purchased a copy of volume 21. And that copy was somewhere around like $12. So it was a little bit above the cover price, but it was still within the budget. Everything was going to be fine, because I was looking at, you know, at that point, $13.88 per volume. So we're good to go. But I waited 2 weeks and realized that it had not come in. And I reached out to the seller and I told them, hey, can you provide me tracking information? Because there was never tracking provided for that order. And they got back to me really quickly. And this is what was kind of suspicious to me, was instead of offering the tracking information and saying, like, let us know if it doesn't come in by this date, they immediately, without giving me tracking, just said, oh, if it hasn't arrived, it's probably lost in transit, we've refunded you. Okay, cool, I've been refunded. And I didn't think twice of it at the time, but then I was like, I'll just go buy another copy from somewhere else. There were literally no copies on Amazon, and on eBay, the only one that was available was like 200 bucks. So then it got me thinking, and I'm like, I hope I don't seem like I'm just being unneedingly suspicious at this point, but it is a little bit odd, in my opinion, that like, they don't provide anything, and usually like, at this point right now, with everything that's going on in the world, packages can take longer than 2 weeks to be delivered, and that's not really that odd. So it was odd for me that they would just immediately, without any second, you know, comment about it, just give me a refund. So way later, at the time that I'm filming this video, it was about less than a week ago, like 5 days ago, someone who views my channel reached out to me via email, and if they're watching this, then they know who they are, and said, hey, I found a store, a local used book chain that has a copy of Tama 21 available for $15. if you're interested, if you're still looking for it, I recommend them. They ship quickly and yada, yada, yada. I was like, that is awesome, 15 bucks, let's get in on it. It would have had me go about $10 over my budget, my total budget, since I was left with about $5 left. But it was, way better than anything. I was like, I can live with being just 10 bucks over on my $230 budget. It's fine. So I make the order, and the next day I get a call from the retailer, and that's odd. Like, I've never gotten a call from a retailer before. And I missed it, but the voicemail, which was very hard to hear, basically I got it out of the voicemail that they were like, hey, we're calling about your recent order, please call us back. And it was already late, so they weren't open anymore and I couldn't call back. But I looked at my email that I got, the confirmation, and I did not notice this before, but they state on there specifically, like, for manga and other collectible books, we reserve the right to basically double check what the market value is and then call you back and change the price on it. And that's precisely what they were doing. So I bought it for 15, but there's no telling what they were actually trying to sell it for. I just canceled the order. I'm not dealing with that. Like, I get it. It is within their rights to do that, and it's my fault for not reading like the fine print, so to say. Like, there was a notice that I didn't notice. I didn't notice the notice when I was actually buying the book, and I should have noticed that. But it kind of sucks for that to happen. Like, I get really hyped up because this was not just the last volume of Tama that I needed, but also like the last volume of every Shonen Jump book that I needed, and I was excited to finally cross it off the list just for someone to come and like pull the rug out from under my feet. So I was pretty bummed about this. I think that that's okay. I'm pretty bummed about this, lack of a deal. And kind of out of the blue, I get an email, I get a message on one of my TikTok videos from someone who watches my YouTube videos and watches my TikToks, saying, hey, if you're still looking for it, I have a copy and I'd like to send it to you. And I said that I'd give some shout outs. SLDY93 is his username on TikTok and stuff, was very kind to reach out to me and say, I would love to provide this book for you. I have a copy, I can send it to you. I offered to pay for it. I offered to pay for the shipping and stuff, and he was like, no, it's fine. I'm gonna send it to you. I'd like you to have it so you can complete your collection. And I know that that's something that, like, I'm trying to give advice here, and I know that not everyone is gonna have like someone reach out to them like that just to provide them with something, but it does bring me to another point, and that's become part of communities. Now, we've looked at like primary retailers and third-party retailers, but it's also important to become part of communities because you can find a lot of help from these communities, whether it be like a Reddit community or a Discord community or Facebook community, whatever it is, you insert yourself into a community, meet people, make friends, like make meaningful connections with these people. And that's what I've done for years, is made connections with people. So even, outside of this, I've gone to my people on Facebook and gone to my people on Discord, etc., and told people, like, if you see this book, let me know, I'm looking for it. And in this case, that wasn't how this one was found, but I've had luck with many, many, many other books and series and stuff where people reach out to me and say, like, hey, here's a link that I found if you're still looking for that book, or I found it at a used bookstore or an old comic shop. I found that book you were looking for. I picked it up for you. Just, send me the money via PayPal and I'll get it over to you. I've had that happen many times in the past. So the point being that you can insert yourself into these communities and you never know what someone's going to find and what someone's going to bring to you. So thankfully, due to outside forces, I barely made that under the budget, just coming $5 under budget for all 23 volumes of Tama. Now let's go over to the next series. The second one that I want to talk about is Dragon Drive. And Dragon Drive is interesting because I didn't know that there was going to be, I didn't think there would be any sort of demand for this series. When this series was originally being published, I didn't know anyone who enjoyed it, I didn't know anyone who had read it, so tracking it down, I thought there would be zero competition basically for me to find this. And I figured it would be something where I could get all 14 volumes for $40 or something easily. Someone was just gonna be selling the whole thing, no one was gonna bid on it, I would get it and call it a day. And I was surprised when I went on to eBay because the 4 primary sellers that I talked about before, Right Stuff, In Stock Trades, Barnes & Noble, and Books A Million, none of them have any volumes of Drag and Drive available. So I go onto eBay and I start looking, and I'm expecting to see tons of them for like super cheap. But the aftermarket for manga volumes has just gone crazy in the past couple years, as many people watching this know. And so there were actually a lot of volumes that were going for pretty high prices, above the cover price, above the $10 per volume that I'm looking to spend. So my budget on this one is $140 because there's 14 total volumes. And as I'm going through and I'm trying to find the best deals and lots on these things, I do find one lot that really caught my eye. And it was a starting bid of $20 for volumes, I believe it was 1 through 12. I don't remember entirely, but I do think it was volumes 1 through 12, and that's a killer deal. And like I said, I'm thinking that there's no competition for this, so maybe all these other listings for the individual items are just, you know, hopeful listings because there's really not that many people out there selling it. And I was like, well, we'll see. So I put it in my watch list and I just, you know, waited, and I came and checked on it the next day. And I don't remember when it was, like the next day or 2 days or 3 days later, but I look at it and it went up, still had 0 bids, but the seller had changed it from a starting bid of $20 to a starting bid of like $90 plus shipping. And I was like, yeah, no way. I'm expecting to spend less than $90 for the entire set at this point. There's no way that I'm spending $90 for not even the whole thing. So I leave it in my watch list because I'm curious. I'm like, is this actually going to work out for them? Like, it's a pretty bold strategy, but is it going to pan out? Are they actually going to be able to sell this for at least the $90? Spoiler alert, I was surprised, but they did. There was only one bid, but someone was interested enough to buy volumes 1 through 12 of Drag and Drive for $90. But along the way, this happened on September the 8th. So along the way, September 8th comes around and I'm looking at eBay lots and I find a lot for volumes 1 through 4 and a second lot that has volumes 5 through 9. Coincidentally, from different sellers, but neither of them crossed over with each other, so I was like, okay, that's cool. And I don't remember what the original price was. I think it was like $25 on each of them. And so I watched both of them because that's a good price. That's undercover price for each of those lots already. I put them on my watch list and I get an offer from the seller. And I think I did a counter offer. We did a little back and forth, but the seller selling volumes 1 through 4 decided to go ahead and give me the set for $18. So volumes 1, 2, 3, and volume 4 for $18. So I'm riding high on that, right? And like, I have the other lot of 5 through 9 in my watch list, and I start looking for the rest of the volumes just to see what I can find. And I find someone selling volume 12, and I get this for $2.50. So I'm doing really well. Already after the first day, from my budget of $140, I now have gone down and I have a budget of $119.50 remaining. And that's to use on just 9 remaining books for this 14 volume series. So the next day, I get another deal with the seller that has volumes 5 through 9. And again, they offer me those books for $18. So that's volumes 5, 6, 7, 8, and volume 9. 5 more volumes for $18. I'm 10 out of 14 volumes in after just making a few purchases, and I still have over $100 left, $101.50 left for the remaining 4 volumes. Now on the same day, September 9th, I turn around and I go over to Amazon because I'm not finding great listings on eBay. And on Amazon, I find volumes 10 and 11. Volume 10 for $2.71 and volume 11 for $10.91. So together, those bring my remaining budget down to $87.88. And I just have 2 volumes remaining to purchase. Now at this point, the last 2 volumes, 13 and 14, are a little bit harder to get for a good price. So just like I did with Tama, I watch and I wait, and every day I look at eBay and I look at Amazon to see if there are any price fluctuations. And while each of these volumes was steadily going for between like $25 to $40, I did find a copy on eBay of volume 14, and this was on September the 21st that I made this purchase, and they had it for $15. So it's a little bit over cover price. But it was the best price that I'd seen in a long time. And then after waiting and looking and stuff and watching to see if there's anything better, a nice deal for volume 13, I decided to go ahead and just order it off of eBay for the best price that I could find, which was $23.91. So I wound up spending over twice cover price on volume 13. However, I had a budget remaining after buying all 14 volumes. I started out with a budget of $140 and I still had $48.97 left over. That's almost $50 left over after buying all of those. That is a success. That is a serious success. And I think that that just shows, like, a lot of books is not always going to be the most worthwhile purchase. So that set that went for $90 was 1 through 12. I wound up getting basically the entire series for about that same price. I was very satisfied with this. I was very satisfied with the way that this went. And again, it just goes to show you that it really pays to patrol those sites. It's easy to just wake up in the morning or at some point through the day, just look on eBay, look on Amazon, Drag and Drive 13, Drag and Drive 14. I searched those like every single day until I found deals, or until basically with volume 13 I just gave in and I was like, I'm just gonna buy it so I can finish the set. All right, and now the third series that I wanted to talk about is tracking down Strawberry 100%. And this one I did not stay within budget, but I wanted to talk about it just to show an example of where basically I get fed up and I'm like, I'm just gonna buy the volumes. Screw it. So this one is also very different because the first 4 volumes that I was able to get, they all came from a sponsor where basically a online storefront reached out to me and said, hey, we're gonna give you basically some money to spend in our store if you can, you know, talk about us and stuff and the experience that you have with us. The storefront was called Hip Comic, and it was a really great experience actually. Like, I was really happy that they reached out to me, and I also want to talk about this because it gives me a chance to like talk about a new storefront that y'all can use if you are searching for stuff, because it's always great to have another source to look at. Now, Hip Comic is mostly, basically the sellers on there are comic shops. They're local comic shops where people are listing like single issues and stuff, and there's some collected editions, and there is a very small amount of manga. The majority of the manga that they have is actually like single issue stuff. So I did get like single issues of Naoki Urasawa's Pineapple Army, and those are really cool. But as I was patrolling through everything they had listed on there, everything that I could find, all of the manga, they did have 4 volumes of Strawberry 100%. So I was able to get these volumes technically for free. I mean, literally for free. Technically, it came out to about $50 for those 4 volumes, but since it didn't come out of my pocket, it didn't go into the budget for this, and that alone is what really saved this one from being over $50 over budget. If that hadn't happened, I would have gone incredibly over budget on this. And I know that that's not going to be the case for the majority of people. You're not going to get people reaching out. And it was very just, it was like the happenstance that the person that reached out to me also had volumes of this available for me to purchase. So it could have been very different. Anyway, I was able to get volumes 2, 3, 8, and volume 10. These were the 4 that I was able to pick up off of the website hipcomic.com. And they were selling, I believe 2 of them were for $8 each. One of them I think was like $12, and then the other one was $20. So only one of them was really significantly above cover price. But again, since it wasn't coming out of my pocket, I figured this is probably this is the best I'm gonna be able to get these volumes for. I'm going for it. I jumped on it, I bought them, good to go. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got 10 more volumes left, and because of the fact that, you know, it's a 14 volume series, in total, I would have a budget of $140, right? So let's start there. So $140, I've got 4 volumes already. I go back home to Houston to go visit my family, and while I'm there, I'm hanging out with my brother-in-law, and he's like, hey, you know, let's go to these shops, and they have like old manga and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'll see if there's anything that I need. And there are 2 shops in particular. And if you're from Houston, if you're around the Houston area, you might know these shops. But there's Nan's Games and Comics 2 and Third Planet. Now, these shops have been there, they've been there for a while. Dusty old windows with, you know, superheroes and stuff painted on the side. They're your stereotypical old comic shop. And these are the places that you can really find treasure. My favorite comic shop in Houston, back home, the one that I went to every week for years, was Bedrock City. However, Bedrock doesn't often have older things. They usually have more new stock. They have a ton of single issues and stuff, but as far as their manga selection goes, those locations usually just have the newer releases in stock. But these other places, since their clientele is really not the manga reader, basically they have stuff that's been sitting there for years. And I happen to know that for Nan's Games and Comics 2, they had a lot of stock that was sitting in boxes like behind shelves that they just did not even have out. And I don't know when, but recently I had heard that there was a change in management, and the new management came in and probably unboxed everything and put it all on the shelves. And there's gold, absolute gold. And this is, I'm dropping like some facts on y'all. Like if you're looking for some old stuff from like the 90s, 3x3 Eyes, Bastard, Firefighter Django, they had the Guyver over there, like several volumes. There were so many series that I found there that I had never seen, or had not seen for years physically in front of my face, and they're selling all of those books for cover price. Now that's not where I struck with volumes of Strawberry 100%, but I wanted to mention it so y'all know, like, there are shops out there like that. And if you are in the Houston area and you're looking for any of those things, I advise you to go over there, because I mean, it was a little while ago, it was, 2 months ago at this point, but there was a lot of good stuff there. Then I went around to Third Planet, and Third Planet is similar, but they had a much smaller selection of manga. But in that small selection of manga, they did have several volumes of Strawberry 100%, several of which I needed. So I picked up volumes 5, 6, 7, 9, and volume 12. So I got 5 more volumes that I needed, meaning that now I have a total of 9 out of the 14. And I got those, they were selling them for cover price, so I spent $42, meaning that I have $98 remaining to find the last 5 volumes. So I go onto eBay pretty much on the same day or the next day, and I find a copy of volume 1 for $11. And that is really close to cover price, so that's awesome. I'm happy with that. So I buy that when I have a remaining budget for the last 4 volumes of $87. And here's where I basically just start giving up. I'm like, I'm not gonna find these for cover price or less. I'm not gonna find a good deal on these last remaining 4. So I'm just gonna try and find the best that I can and try and stay within that remaining budget that I have. And so I find on eBay on the 22nd, so a few days later, volume 13, I'm able to get for $20. On the 22nd again, I find volume 11 for $17. So that's not bad. $17 is just a little bit over cover price. So those two, I did one for twice cover price, one for 70% over cover price, I guess. And then it gets down to the remaining 2. Volume 4, it's taking me a while to find this one. And finally on the 2nd, so almost 2 weeks later, on the 2nd of October, I find volume 4 and I'm able to get it for $25. So $25 is $15 more than cover price, more than I want to pay for an individual volume, but compared to what I was seeing it go for elsewhere, that was a really good deal. And so a few days later, on the 5th, I go onto Amazon and I wrap it all up and I buy the last volume, volume 14, for $30, which is 3 times cover price. I'm not proud of it, I'm not happy about that, but at the end of the day, my remaining budget was negative $5. So I went $5 over on the budget for this one, and I'm not very happy about it, especially because of the fact that if I didn't have those 4 volumes initially sent to me from a sponsor for one of my videos on TikTok, I would have been $54 above budget. I'm not happy about that, and it's something where, like, the circumstance was really lucky for me, basically, that I was able to get these things for free, these 4 volumes for free, because like I said, this would have had me go significantly above my budget, but instead I only went $5 above budget. And you know what, for a series that is as hard to find as Strawberry 100% can be, I'm pretty satisfied with just having gone $5 over. That's pretty good. But the main point that I wanted to talk about with this one was not just like how sometimes, even though I try, I still don't sit within the budget. Sometimes I go over, sometimes I do go a little bit over my budget that I try to set for myself. But I wanted to talk really clearly about the fact that you can find some real treasure out there in the wild. You never know what you are going to find. At the store that I mentioned, Nan's in Houston, that has tons of old stuff from like the 90s and the early 2000s, I found a volume of Flame of Rekka that I've literally been searching for years. And I found a copy and I got it for 10 bucks, and I was so excited to finally have that book because it was the last volume of that series that I needed to get. It just goes to show, like, when you're on a trip, when you're on vacation, try to visit shops. I went recently, my wife and I were in Vermont, and we went between Vermont to New Hampshire into Massachusetts and stuff, and I hit many different shops. And I didn't find a lot of old stuff. I did find like some copies of some newer series like Kaguya-sama Love is War and Nisekoi and Seraph of the End. I found several volumes of those newer titles that I wouldn't have probably been able to find if I hadn't have gone to those shops. The point is, like, you never know what you're gonna find in these old shops. Go to old comic book shops, go to old bookstores, go to used bookstores. You never know what you're gonna find. You might strike gold. So I hope that this was all helpful, kind of to see a little bit of how I go about hunting for, searching for these harder to find books, what I do to find things, and how I try to stick to a budget. And like I've been saying, some of these circumstances are a little bit different than most people will be able to find. However, I think that highlighting these 3 different series gave a great illustration of not only what I do when I'm searching for stuff and how I find these books and how I try to stay within a budget, but also gave a myriad of the different sources that I go to. Not just looking at primary retailers, but looking also at eBay and spending a lot of time looking on eBay and Amazon, waiting for those deals to pop up. Also looking at physical shops, looking at bookstores, looking at comic shops, and finding new retailers that you can search in. New retailers, like I mentioned, hipcomic.com. And they have a lot of stuff on there that goes for really good prices. And finally, being part of communities. Be part of communities that help people in trading and in selling and buying and stuff, but also in where you make connections and you make new friends and you talk to these people and they will help you out. There's a lot of different strategies that you can use to find books for good prices, and I just outlined some of them for y'all, and there are many more things that even in these 3 series that I tracked down that I didn't even touch on. But I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this in some way can help you if you're trying to hunt down something rare, that this can help you in finding some of these books and gives you some new avenues to search for them in. So hopefully it was an entertaining video and an informative one. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and you enjoy videos like this, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you're notified of all the upcoming videos whenever I post them, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.